Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and SymcoTraining. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips, and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. Hey, listen, another question I need to ask. What about the manager? And listen, I've got to tell you, I was probably one of these people. When I first thought about it was, hold on, if it's a heavy car, an expensive car. So let's say I am I'm an Audi dealer, okay? And I've got this R8. That's going to be quite an expensive car in there, okay? Surely that car there is going to take a lot longer to sell, but I'm going to make a lot more profit on it. Are you suggesting even that car I should be attacking very quickly to get rid of as quick as I could, or should I hold out for that long profit?
I don't see a need to hold out for anything. I think you still have to have that discipline in place that says, I'm a 60-day sort of person. We work with a lot of highline dealers, and I can tell you this, that the units they struggle the most with, and I'm talking about Mercedes, Audi, whoever it may be, the units they struggle the most with are the higher dollar stuff. They sit for the obvious reason. There's not that many people who can buy them. But my point here is that if it's priced right within the first 60 days, you're better off to go ahead and sell that vehicle, even if it's going to bring less money than maybe you thought, because you can take that money and reinvest it and keep spending the money. So if we're going to be good money managers, we're not going to let an $80,000 or $100,000 car sit around very long. Sure, take your shot for the first 20 days or so. But if you haven't found someone who's going to buy it in the first 20 or maximum 30 days, you need to start pricing that car right and get it out of here and get that money turning over.
I love the idea. First 20 days, let's go for gold. Let's try and get the shot. After that, let's then. Again, you keep on talking about the 60 days. There'll be some people saying, hold on, shouldn't it be a 90-day policy? Should it be a 30-day policy? Where's your views? Where's it need to be in the modern world?
So in the modern world, it really needs to be 45. Okay, that's where it really needs to be. But
45, wow.
Yeah, but let's go to the 60 concept.
Yep.
All I would ask your listeners to do is to do one thing for me. And that is that if you're a believer in the 90 days or whatever you may be believing in, I would ask you that once you sell those cars, please calculate the return on investment on those cars. Do the math and see what the return is. Now, when we do ROI, there's three components to that. How many days old was it? What did you have in the car, and how much front gross did you make? How much front profit, not F&I, but front profit. Do the math. That equation should come out to 110% return on investment. Should be at least 110% above. Now, when you do the math on these cars that you keep in 90 days, if you're not hitting that, then you're not really making money.
Yeah. I love you saying 110 now, not the 100% I would normally say. 110 is what you're saying.
110% is the benchmark that we work with. But if you want to work with 100, work with it. But here's my point. Whatever it is, pay attention to that number and don't keep making excuses. Well, yeah, we kept it 120 days and we made $1,000, but the ROI was 60%. Hello, you didn't really make any money. You really didn't make any money.
And again, the manager that says, I'm playing devil's advocate here, so, yeah, I know, but Tommy, it might be there for 9 days, but we write it down every month. It's fine. We write them down.
So as a dealer, I used to do write downs as a dealer. And we used to have what we call a bruise account, and we moved money around and did that sort of stuff. And towards the end, I'd say the last 2 or 3 years, I didn't do that anymore. And I learned my lessons the hard way. Here's my point. You don't need to write anything down if you're on a true 60-day program. You're not going to need to write it down because you already sold the car. The only reason you or a dealer would think they need to write it down is because it's over 60 days old. Well, why did you let it become 60 days old? That's on you. Let me tell you where the real problem is here. The real problem is not with the used car managers. The real problem is with the owners. The owners are the ones who say, they're going to let the managers get by with it or not. If you're an owner or GM, this is all on you. There's no excuse in this. There's a great book that everybody should read called It's Okay, O-K-A-Y, to Be the Boss. And the premise in that book is simply this. If you go to a restaurant and you get really bad service from the person that's waiting on you, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's the boss's fault for not handling it, not knowing it. If a dealership has units that are over 60 days old, it's not the used car manager's fault. It's not their fault. It's the dealer's fault. It's the owner's fault for letting it happen in the first place. So you can't say that when I do a 20 group meeting, this is kind of funny. When I do a 20 group meeting, I'll say to the dealers in the room, I'll say, how many of you guys or gals are on a 60-day or a 90-day program or 75 days where you don't let units go over that number of days? How many of you have that type of program in place? And they all raise their hand, most of them. Mm-hmm. And then I'll say, well, how many of you currently have a unit that's over that number of days old? And most of them raise their hand. Look, you're either pregnant or you're not. Decide what you're going to be. So, I mean, now, don't go panicking here. If you're a dealer or owner sitting in the room right now hearing this, okay, if you're trying to get on that program, I wouldn't suggest that right now you go out, not at all would I ever suggest you go out right now and say, okay, everything's over 60 days, you got to take it and wholesale it and dump it at the auctions. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from this day forward, though, anything coming in inventory ain't going over 60 days. Work your way out of that crap, retail your way out, get it gone. But anything fresh coming in, we've changed the program here. We now have the discipline. That would be my recommendation.
It's quite funny. I've been in the motor trade for about 30 years now. And you know what? When I first started, there were birthday cars out there. Now, thankfully, a lot of that has stopped there. But I tell you what, sometimes it was, what were we doing with this car? Singing happy birthday to it every 12 months there. But there's a bum for every seat, is what I was told by one manager.
Yeah, there is. And I think that with the advent of the internet, there's really no reason to have these cars sticking around because you can keep pricing the car lower and lower. I don't know if you folks use some software that allows you to put the prices on the internet and take a look at what other dealers have the cars priced at. A big one in this country is Viato, and it's probably my favorite.
A great speaker as well. He does a brilliant job at it.
Dale Pollock's a personal friend, and he's a great business person, but he's an amazing human. But anyway, sometimes I'll have used car managers say to me, they'll say, Tommy, we've got this car priced number one on the internet, but we haven't sold it yet. And my rebuttal to that is, well, the reason you haven't sold it yet, the fact that it's number one is irrelevant. The reason you haven't sold it yet is you haven't made it cheap enough. My point is, there is a price that someone is willing to pay on every car on a dealer's lot right now today.
Yeah.
You just haven't been willing to go there. Again, go back to the 60-day thing. There's no reason for the car to get 60 days old. You just need to price it right so somebody takes it off your hands. Like you said, what did you say? There's a butt for every seat, or?
That's a manager's topic. There's a bum for every seat.
A bum, yeah. Well,
there's a bum for every seat. Yeah, it's but that's right. So not a bum as in a person on the side of the road, but a backside for every seat. Yes. Right. Okay. Well, listen. In the UK, I don't know what it's like in the States at the moment, but we've just come through this pandemic. We work predominantly in Ireland. We do lots of in Australia. We've got lots of Australian listeners to this as well. But in the UK and Ireland, you don't have to be a genius to sell used cars at the moment. There has been, used cars have gone up in the price. I don't know how many weeks in a row it has been now, but it's just going up and up all the time. We can't get stock. So I know some of these people listening and saying, hey, this is great in normal times, but at the moment, where do I get used car stock from? I need used car stock. Do you have any advice for that manager that's sitting there thinking, I can't sell fresh spaces here? Where do I start looking to get this stock from? How much over the odds should I actually pay in this market? And if I do pay over the odds, in 3 months' time, when the pandemic slows down, do I just end up causing myself a problem? What advice would you have for that manager?
So before I try to address a little bit of that, let's recognize the fact that you just said about the pandemic has caused us tremendous demand on used cars. And we're able to sell them for crazy numbers. So my question would be, with that being the situation that it is right now, why in the world does any dealer currently in your country or my country have any unit that's over 60 days old? Doesn't make a bit of sense with the position we're in.
Yep.
Now let's go back and talk about the other part. The better dealers in this country are doing everything they can to avoid going to the auctions. I know some dealers that are super, super successful, large operations that haven't been to an auction in 2 years. They are focused on stepping up at the front door, getting heavy on some cars at the front door, and they're focused on buying cars from the public, buying cars from their previous customers. They're merchandising and marketing. We'll buy your car, even if you won't buy ours, that's okay. But that's where the focus is. I think dealers have to really decide how they're going to go about doing that and have a real plan for how they're going to go about buying cars from the public. Dealers sometimes will advertise, we want to buy your car from you. the customer shows up, but they don't have a good process to handle that customer.
Mm.
Dealers in this country now are using some tremendous software where the customer can simply click on a link. They'll have the dealer will create a different website. It might, if the name of the dealership is Jones, sell your car to jones.com. And they click on it, they put 3 pieces of information in, and bam, the customer gets a value for their car, and the dealer now has it into their software system, and they're able to follow up with that customer. They even have software now where it's going out and grabbing all the for sale by owner customers, people that are out there trying to sell their car themselves from whatever websites they may be on. They're able to capture them and go after those customers. I think you have to really amp up the effort to buy from the consumers, but you got to be willing to spend some time and money and make a commitment to doing that. But I think we have to get away from buying at the auctions and understand that best direction to go is away from the auctions and buying from the consumers and buying at the front door.
Yeah, I think you're dead right there. So that brings me on to the next point I want to get your views on. We know of Carvana. Carvana's been going in the States for, what is it, 10 years, I think, something like that.
I'd say it's about that, yeah.
Yeah, this is for the people who don't know. In Europe, Carvana, they're a direct-to-the-public retailer of used vehicles only. They have these lovely towers where you can buy the car, put like a slot machine, put your car in there. I'm sure they deliver lots of cars there. Over here in the UK, we've got Carzoo. A man called Alex Chesterman has started Carzoo. Very similar model to the Carvana. They're floated on the stock market, huge valuation. Well, the companies haven't made a huge profit at this stage there, but they're absolutely huge investment into it. I just want to get your views on these retailers. Well, 2 things really. Is this changing the way that people are looking to buy used cars? When I started, I had to drive the car, I had to touch it, smell it. I would never buy a car without doing that first. What's your views on these internet retailers?
I think that's going to continue to grow. I think even prior to the pandemic here, dealers were focused on the concept of trying to do more of the purchase of a vehicle with the customer, or the transaction online. Mm-hmm. And most dealers have electronic signature. They can do pretty much the whole deal online if need be. During the pandemic, that was extremely useful. The pandemic forced a lot of people to get on that program that weren't already on it, but there were some dealers that were already thinking in that way. I think you have to have that available, but I do believe the customer, as a rule, still wants to come to the dealership. And I know people would say, well, they hate dealers and all that, but they still want to come and touch it and smell it. But on the other hand, there are some people that will buy a car sight unseen. I have a friend of mine that's in Hawaii right now. He's moving back to the country. He's moving to Dallas, and he just bought a $52,000 truck online, sight unseen, has just sent the dealer check. So, I mean, there's people that are willing to do that. There's people that today in the States, no doubt, they're buying houses without even seeing the house. So there are certain people that are willing to do that, but I think you have to be involved in it. I wouldn't fear Carvana or what was it called?
Carvana. We have Carzoo. In the UK.
I wouldn't fear them. I would look at them. I would pay attention to them, see what they're doing well, and see what I can do to copy it, within reason. But a customer should be able to do a lot of their the transaction online, and your people have to be schooled in that and be ready to do business that way.
What we're finding in the UK is they start off as one of the disruptors, like buy everything online. Now already, because their pockets are full of floated money or whatever, they're already purchasing used car supermarkets. They're finding out they need more and more locations. Of course, the downside of that just online model is when they're sending a car halfway across the country, the customer didn't like the color of it, they didn't like anything, they're sending it all the way back. There's a big cost to that. So they've already realized, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe our listeners will tell me, that they've realized that they need clicks and bricks. It needs to be blended. Now, of course, that's what we as dealers do. Okay, so we have the clicks and bricks there. We can do that. So, Tommy, can I ask you then, if you're a brand new used car manager today, we have lots of brand new managers that want to improve. They want to do the best they can do. What's the one thing that you would do to ensure success in the department? What would you do if you're a brand new manager now, not the owner?
So, I got to go back to the owner for just a second though.
Yeah,
okay. If I was an owner and I hired someone to be my used car manager, and he or she is brand new. As an owner or general manager, I wouldn't let them do much of anything by themselves for a long time. I would train that person to make sure that they're running the operation the way I want to run. Oftentimes, general managers and dealers, they don't have a strong used car background themselves. So they hire someone like a new manager and turn them loose. Now, if I'm a new manager and I'm in that situation, there's so much free information out here on YouTube. There's so many chat rooms and places you can go to learn. You have to take it. If I'm a new manager, I've got to take it upon myself, the responsibility of learning as much about this business as I possibly can. And this country, we play American football here, and there's a great American football player, the Manning family, Peyton Manning, Archie Manning, what was the other Manning? Can't think now. But anyway, Archie Manning is the father, and Archie Manning runs a quarterback football camp every summer. And this camp is designed to improve, no doubt, their quarterback skills. And Archie Manning says this: if you're a football quarterback, you need to know what you're doing, because if you know what you're doing, you know where to go with the football. You know where to throw it, you know what to do with it. If you're a used car manager, you need to know what you're doing. When that trade comes in or you buy a car, you know what to do with it. So my point here is that I think that as a used car manager, I have to become an absolute student of the game. I have to study it and never think I know it all, because you don't. You have to listen to all the other people who are used car managers in the past, or people you run into. You listen to all their BS. You separate what's good and what's bad, and be smart enough to just take the good and run with it and don't do the bad. But again, I think as a newer used car manager, your odds are increased substantially if you are working for a dealer or a general manager that has their heart and soul locked into used cars. They need to be able to support you and help you move along through those obstacles that you're going to start to hit as you progress through management.
I gotta say, Tommy, I still come across some businesses where the new car department is where it's all at, and used cars is just over there. But it's the other way around, isn't it? So often it really should be. And when you said the new car, the general manager, they might not understand used cars that well. I love the idea that you said, I just wouldn't let them do anything, just be with me for a long time. They know exactly what I'm trying to do.
Most of the time, you show me a really successful dealership, and I'll show you an owner or general manager that has strong used car roots.
Yeah, so true. It goes back to what we said right at the beginning. Get that department right, everything else rolls off it. Okay, definitely does. Okay. So listen, can I ask you then, what's one tip that someone could do, listen to this now, to go back and put in today, okay, just to make money? One immediate tip, anything you would recommend to leave people with?
To make money in used cars?
Yeah.
One tip. That's a tough question. I think you have to think about being in the retail car business. And by that, I mean, remember me talking about retailing those cheaper cars? I think you have to think retail. I don't want to ever have to wholesale a used car that's aged on me. I'm not talking about a junker. I'm talking about a car that hit 60 days. So if I am of a retail mindset, and I'm always thinking about what can I do to get a car retailed, that's going to help me be even more successful. So my mindset, if I'm in this business, is I'm in the retail business. I'm going to retail everything I can touch. Everything's got a breath of life in it. I'm not going to wholesale anything at 60, because I'm already have found a retail buyer for it. It's all about retail.
Love that concept. So Tommy, you talked a little bit about some of the software that you talked about before. Can you just share with us exactly what is the software that helps a manager to identify the cars that they really need to be moving quick, and the cars that don't? Could you tell us a bit about that software, and is it available for the dealers in Europe?
Probably so. Yeah, I have a software tool that helps dealers identify their problematic cars and shorten the life cycles on the most problematic ones. So as an example, that system helps you identify a car that maybe it's high kilometers, you're heavy in it, it's a bad color. And so we don't even give those cars 60 days. Those cars get 30 or 45 days. And the goal or objective with those cars is to find a retail buyer before it hits the end of its life cycle. So it causes you to have a unique strategy for every used car that comes in your inventory. So if it's a high dollar car and I got 80,000 in it, I may not give it a full 60. I might give it 45, because I know the faster I can make it go away, the better off I'm in. And this software also has a reconditioning tool that allows you to improve the time through the service department, because the longer the car is hung up in reconditioning, service, cleanup, photo and all that before it ever gets to the front line, the harder it is for us to make money on a car. If a car spends 2 weeks going through your reconditioning process, you just gave up 14 days that are your most profitable days. Everybody in the car business knows you make the most money on a used car that you sell in the first 10 days you own it. That's where go look. If you were to chart all your used cars this month and you were to chart them and say, okay, the cars that we sold in the first 10 cars what you're going to find is that as the days goes up, the average gross profit goes down. So categorize it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and watch that sliding scale. So our tool is designed to help dealers get their cars through reconditioning faster, because the sooner we can get them out there and get them ready to be retail, the more money we can make. And that's what our software tool does.
Yeah, am I understanding this the right way? So what you're saying is you almost got a different use by date on some stock compared to the others, yes. And kind of like a supermarket. I suppose they haven't got the same used car use by date on a pint of milk than they've got on a tin of beans. Have I got that the right way?
Yeah, absolutely. They all don't deserve the same life cycle. They're all not the same. They're not all the same. There's some that you can give a full 60 and some you shouldn't. If I just bought a car at the auction and I overpaid for it, and I went, oh man, you know what? That equipment mix on that car isn't that great. It really needs a sunroof, but I've already bought it. Now I'm kind of sort of stuck with it. Well, I can't treat that car like a nice fresh trade-in. That's a car I bought at the auction. I'm a little high in it anyway if I bought the auction. So why would I give an auction purchase car a full life cycle? I'm going to cut it to 30 or 45. And when I say that, what I'm saying is I've got to find a retail buyer at some number before it gets there.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
So how are you allowing everyone, like the salesperson, the sales manager, the business manager, know that, hold on, that car's got to be gone in 30 days. Hey, this car has got to go up to maybe 45, maybe 60.
Well, we identify that in the software. It shows how many days that car gets, and it just keeps clicking down and down.
Love it.
So if we give a car 45, it then becomes 44, 43, 42, 40, 41. It keeps counting down, keeps counting down. And the pressure gets on you as that car it's only got 10 days to go. It's got to go.
It's got to go. Where's the retailer? Let's not wholesale it. Where's the retailer?
Amen. Amen.
I love it. I love it there. Hey, Tommy, how do people listen to this who love your ideas on used cars? How do they get hold of your training? What can you do? Tell us about your business and how do people find you?
So I would suggest that they could send me an email and I can connect them to a couple of our tools. But it's Tommy at TommyGibbsTraining.com. Tommy.
We're going to put a link on our website as well to make sure that people can find Tommy Gibbs. So again, come to our website.
And if they send me an email, I'll send them an email back. And we have a training platform, a coaching platform, where it takes them through probably about 20 modules of video snippets of the various things that we talked about today and a whole bunch of other things. And the great thing about that is if you got a used car manager, you're trying to get that used car manager, your entire team on the same page, you could look at these things in a little bit each day and get everybody kind of going. The other great thing about it is it helps you avoid the evaporation factor. I don't care who's watching this. I don't care who you are and how well disciplined you are. Crap evaporates. In other words, you'll put something in play, it works really well for a while, and you wake up 6 months later, nobody's using it or doing it anymore. Mm-hmm. I call that the evaporation factor. It happens to everybody. So this tool will help you to continue to go back to it and zero in on those pieces of training that will help a dealer most wherever they may be struggling in used cars. So if they send me an email, we'll get that information to them. That service, just for that little thing, and I say that little thing, it's a whole lot of thing, is only $357 a month. So it's really, really cheap, and you can't get training any cheaper than that. We wanted to make it cheap and available to people so that it could be an easy way for a dealer to keep their team on the right page.
Perfect. Well, Tommy, listen, that just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Listen, I'm hoping at some time when travel happens again, we can get you out to some of our dealer groups out here.
That'd be great.
Maybe in the world of Zoom, any of our clients that listen to this, if you want to get Tommy to talk to all of your sales managers what they should be doing, listen, I'm sure you can come and talk to us. I'm sure we can set that up. And in the world of Zoom, get Tommy to do that. But absolutely. Tommy, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Been
Have
great.
a great day. See you, bye.
That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, symcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.